My family history and the connection to feet start 2 generations ago with my grandfather. He was a traditional shoemaker. His name is Bernhard. That's my second name. So I'm named after him. And he started 1952 with his own business in Oberkochen, building shoes, repairing shoes, like being in contact or in touch with feet every day. And he taught my father the basics of how important shoes are, how important feet are especially. And since it was a dying profession, the shoemaking, my father decided to not step completely away from it, but extrapolate it to the health section as well. So he was the first orthopedic shoemaker in the family. And part of orthopedic shoemaking is building custom orthopedic shoes, as well as making the fitting and matching insoles. So he started in 40 years ago. This year it will be our 40th anniversary for Orthopedic Walter, and got a lot of experience, like introduced a lot of technology. He was the first one to ever build insoles digitally on a milling machine, head-based design. Today we're printing them. It's the latest technology, the best technology, environmentally friendly, and most accurate. So that's what we build our foundation on. I've been working at Orthopedic Walter obviously my whole life because it's a family business. So I grew up in the workshop. I grew up around all those machines. When I finished high school, I learned the profession. So in Germany, it's 3.5 years where you really learn the profession in detail. So I learned even how to produce custom orthopedic shoes. And one part of it is always the custom orthotics. And I learned it from very severe cases. And that's why we're pretty advanced at doing it for the regular misalignments and problems. And ever since I work here, my task at Stride as head of design is to build all the strategies. So that means the questionnaire is one basic part, one very important part of information that I need for determining the solution, the treatment strategy. And building this treatment strategy is my main task at Stride. Yeah, so the design process is pretty complex. So the order arrives and then it pops up in our computer. We see the 3D scan image of the foot in an unloaded situation, which allows us to determine how well the arch, for instance, still builds. Then we get the gait analysis where we see how the whole foot and legs, lower limbs up to the lower back behave during gait and in dynamic. And then we have the questionnaire that tells us about the pain points, because there's nothing we can guess. Pain is always subjective. And basically what we have is the scans, the dynamic scan, the 3D scan, together with the pain zones, together with, and that's the last cornerstone, the use case. Because for soccer cleats, we need different orthotics than we would build for instance, hiking shoes, right? Different muscles are active, different shoe conditions, different volume inside the shoe. So those 3 parts of information will be processed by us, and that leads us in the end to the final treatment, to your custom Stride. Well, the mass producers of orthotics have one main goal, and that's minimizing the returns. And that's why a lot of those follow the strategy to just make them super soft, so they feel good initially, but they won't support in any way. It's just soft, it won't hurt, and that's why they cut down the returns to almost 0. On the other hand, we have the ones that build insoles very, very rigid. You see those in the 3/4 lengths, hard shell plastics. And the issue there is it supports you, but always the same. In some situations, the foot stretches, the foot swells because the muscles swell. So the foot needs more space, and the super hard, rigid orthotics don't give the foot that space. That's why we decided at Stride to go with a semi-rigid orthotic that is flexible as your foot is, but in certain areas it gives you the support you need, but not super rigid, always with a little bit of a bounce, right? So that we make sure to give the right support for the occurring load. Well, my father has 40 years of experience in manufacturing and designing custom orthotics. So basically he taught me everything I know. And the good thing is he gave me a head start, because his 40 years or 30 years of experience until I stepped in the company, this is experience I don't have to make anymore. I just need to listen carefully. I learn from him. And what we achieved is transferring my father's brain into the software. That's how we came up with the shoe selection, the pain selection, the questionnaire, like having a special treatment for every pain. And that's developed over 40 years with universities all over the world, like in Calgary, Canada, to Cologne, Sporthochschule, always from practice, for practice. And that gives me a huge head start now to build the system, to make it scalable and accessible to you. Well, the strategy of designing orthotics, we extrapolate to basically all over the world. So we're represented in many, many countries. And over 40 years, we produced close to 2 million insoles, supplied them to customers, partially remotely, like we do with Stride soles, and partially on our own local foot clinic where we see patients on a daily basis. So the foot is very, very unique, right? We have 28 bones, we have many, many ligaments, muscles, and it's like a fingerprint. It's super custom. But the issues that we have are more or less the same, reoccurring once in a while. So we have our treatments that are different elements for the insole, but the way we position it, the way we determine how high, how stiff it is, that's all done by custom scan, 3D scan, as well as the gait analysis from the customer. So the off-the-shelf insoles, they just accommodate high arch, medium arch, low arch. We accommodate way more issues from toe to heel and everything in between, even to knees, hip, lower back. And that's only possible with a real custom orthotic, a real custom treatment, and that's the most important point, a real custom analysis.
Sorry.